Good morning, everyone. Today we read the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and it follows chapter 27. And actually, God has put in front of the Israelites the blessings and the curses so that they can understand and make the right choices. And this chapter will show us clearly what are the blessings and the curses. If you read carefully, you'll find that it can be divided into three sections. Verse 1 to 14, the first section about blessings, and then verse 15 to 57, what are the curses, and then verse 58 to the end about a summary of the blessing and the curses and a final reminder. So today this chapter can be divided into three sections. Altogether, there are 68 verses, very, very long, a long chapter. Why did the author use such a long passage to talk about the blessing? And actually, 14 verses can summarize the blessings, but then verse 15 to 57, a big chunk, a section about curses. Why would God do that? Surely He wants to bless us. But how come there are more curses than blessings? Of course, it's not to curse us. We may have a wrong perspective understanding that God likes to curse people. So there are so many curses. No, on the contrary, the curses are the warnings, and they are the boundaries. For people, God set up the boundaries to emphasize and to tell us that we should not walk out of the boundaries. Or it's like there is a safety zone and there's an unsafety zone. You don't need to have a lot of reminders in the safety zone, but the dangerous zone is different. If you're uncareful and enter into it, will be so detrimental. So there's a very big warning sign. It's like a loudspeaker reminding you do not enter. And I recall a scenario. I used to take people to Israel up there with many tour groups, and in Golan Heights, you can see a lot of places fenced, and there are many signs very close to each other on those wire fences. The brothers and sisters used to ask us, "Oh, why are there so many warning signs?" Basically, every 2 steps, there's a sign, as if you cannot see clearly. You see a yellow sign, you may not read it clearly, but actually, as you step out of the car, get off the car, you can see on the sign clearly, beware of the mines. There were a lot of wars and mines in the past. And so, even though a lot of the mines were cleared already, but they're still worried that people may enter into that area and be harmed by the mines. And so it's like warning to ask people to be careful, to protect them. And it's the same today. In the safety zone, in the area of blessing, as long as you go to that direction, you know it's safe, and then you know you'll be blessed. But in the area of curses or the dangerous zone, God used a long passage to remind others. And if you still step in, then there's nothing that can be done. And nothing can be said more. So you see, we can understand God's will and heart. And now, so let's share another concept, the second concept for us to understand this chapter. And according to the Israelites, our faith is a faith of one God, believing in one God. There's only one God in heaven and earth, and He created heaven and earth. He is the source of everything, and this is very important. That means everything is from Him, everything is related to Him. And so, in the eyes of the Israelites, blessings and curses are from God, and we need to be careful. Why would God curse people? It's not that God curses man. And to the Hebrew or the Israelites, God is light. And there's light and there's darkness. And what is darkness? What's the condition of darkness? From a scientific point of view, darkness doesn't exist. You cannot measure darkness. What is the condition of darkness? It's when there's no light. Without light, there's darkness. It's so simple. So God is the source of everything, and blessings and curses are from Him. Very simply put, where He doesn't bless, then it's cursed. He doesn't create curses, but when He doesn't bless, there's curse. Just like God's created light, and where there's no light, there's darkness. God doesn't want to create darkness, He just needs to create light. So, with such a concept, we can understand blessing and curses. And the world has sinned and fallen. So, men are not under blessings. Men are away from God's protection and blessings. Just like if we're away from light, we're in darkness. And we're further away from the light, we're deeper in darkness. So if we are more rebellious, then there are more curses. And that's the concept from this chapter. You can see as we read next, there are great curses. Why? The reason is very simple. In the past, when we were in curses, when Adam and Eve were tempted to sin, the enemy's stronghold powers in this world because of sin. The enemy rules the world with sin. But if we're under curse, but we've chosen to follow God, we enter into light again. After we enter into light, but if we ignore God and return to darkness, then what would Satan do? He has deceived you out of the light, and then you forget about God after entering into the light, and you return to darkness into Satan's hand. Then you can imagine what Satan would do to you. Finally, you will run away from him, but then you choose to return to him. Then of course he will punish you, torture you even more. And that's the picture. If we choose to return to God, and then we rebel and we return to the world, then our condition will be worse, because the world is waiting for us to return to Him, and it will treat us even more badly. So, with these concepts, as we read this chapter today, we can see more and understand more. In the midst of curses, we can still see God's mercy and love and kindness. God doesn't want us to be in curses, and so that was why He used such a long passage to proclaim the curses, to give us warning. So today, as we read this chapter, it can be a checklist for us to examine our own life. Are we in blessings or in curses? And God has explained clearly why we are in such a situation. We don't need to explain about the blessings, but we need to explain the curses. we should not avoid these problems. God has told us clearly, where are the mines, and beware of the mines, so don't step on the mines. Don't go into that dangerous zone. And then we can enjoy and appreciate the beautiful scenery. But if we ignore the sign, the warning signal, and we are being bombed up, then there's nothing we can say. So let's look at this chapter today with these concepts. First 1 to 14 verse. Now it shall come to pass, if you diligently obey the voice of the Lord your God, to observe carefully all his commandments which I command you today, that the Lord your God will set you high above all nations of the earth, and all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you, because you obey the voice of the Lord your God. Blessed shall be in the city, and blessed shall be you be in the country. Blessed shall be the fruit of your body, the produce of your ground, and the increase of your herds, the increase of your cattle, and the offspring of your flocks. Blessed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. The Lord will cause your enemies who rise against you to be defeated before your face. They shall come out against you one way and flee before you 7 ways. The Lord will command a blessing on you in your storehouses and in all to which you set your hand, and he will bless you in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. The Lord will establish you as a holy people to himself, just as he has shown to you. If you keep the commandments of the Lord your God and walk in his ways, then all peoples of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of you. And the Lord will grant you plenty of goods in the fruit of your body, in the increase of your livestock, and in the produce of your ground, in the land of which the Lord swore to your fathers to give you. The Lord will open to you his good treasure, the heavens, to give the rain to your land in its season, and to bless all the work of your hand. You shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. And the Lord will make you the head and not the tail. You shall be above only and not be beneath. If you heed the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today, and are careful to observe them, so you shall not turn aside from any of the words which I command you this day, to the right or the left, to go after other gods to serve them. So these are all the blessings, but there's a condition. It's if you pay attention and obey the voice of the Lord your God. If you pay attention to all the word of the Lord and obey that, then you will be blessed. Then you will surely be blessed. You will enter into blessings. So it's very simple. These blessings will come to you. You don't need to do anything except listening and obeying to the Lord. Then you will be blessed. Just like when you drive a car, when you follow the way within the boundary, then it's good. But if you don't follow, you will cut others off. You go astray and go outside of the pathway, then there'll be another situation. So as long as you follow and listen, if you have a relationship with God, if you can do that, then you will be blessed anywhere, in the city and in the country. And the fruit of your body, the produce of your ground, and your herds and cattle and offspring of your flocks will all be blessed. There will be an increase. If you listen to God, if you follow his way, everything that belongs to you will be increased. And today, God is speaking to us to multiply, to arise and shine, multiply, and be strong. And actually, another meaning of blessing is to multiply, to increase. So if your wealth increases, if your health increases, when your days prolong. These are blessings. So if we're blessed, everything belonging to us, the produce of our ground, and our herds and cattle and flocks, they will all increase. And even your basket and your kneading bowl will increase. And what does it mean, your basket? That's like you have leftover, you have savings. Why do you have savings? Because you have surplus. So you're blessed when you go out and when you go in, even when there is an attack from the enemy. They will go away. They will flee before you 7 ways because God will protect you. Even though there is attack, you can overcome. Your enemy cannot win over you. And there will blessing on you in your storehouses. God will bless you in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. Everything you do will be smooth. And it says here, verse 9, if you will keep the commandments of the Lord your God and walk in his ways, and then the Lord will bless you. You will be his holy people, which means you'll be his people, set apart from the world, chosen especially for him, set apart. And that's the meaning of holy, being holy. You are different from the world. You are different from other peoples who follow the world. The other peoples, they follow their own fleshly desires, but you follow the Lord, so there's a difference. And God treats you differently too. When you listen to God, God will lead you. And that's a very important sign. As we listen to God more, God will lead us even more. And God will speak to us more as we listen to Him. But if we do it our own way, God will stop speaking, and Holy Spirit will keep quiet. And as we read the Bible, we'll see this too. In the Old Testament, God was speaking continuously, but in the end, because the Israelites were stubborn, God was silent for 400 years until the New Testament time. He started speaking again. So if we rebel against God consciously, then God's word will be very few. He will stop speaking. And that's the same in our relationship with our children. If the children will not listen, then gradually the parents will not talk anymore. So if we listen more, God will speak more, and God will lead us and guide us, and He will treat us as His people, His holy people. And as we follow God like this, the world will be afraid. Not because of you, but because of God. If you're closer to God, if you listen to God more, and when God speaks to you more, then He will give you the mystery of the world. And you'll be more blessed. You will have a more unique and special perspective. The spiritual man understands all things. So your whole life will be different. And people will be afraid of you. So we can see a truth there. If we're afraid of God, people will be afraid of us. But if we are not afraid of God, we'll be afraid of other men. That's so simple. If we try to please men, it's not useful. People will not help us. But if we please God, people will fear us. People will cooperate with us. Others will listen to us. So we only need to fear God, and God will take care of the rest. And there will be under blessings. Everything will be smooth. So as we follow the Lord like this, as we fear Him, God will let us have surplus in the fruit of our body, in the increase of our livestock, in the produce of our ground. Everything will be blessed and smooth, and we can even lend to many nations, but we shall not borrow. we have surplus so we can lend to others. If we don't have enough, we have to borrow from others. So the status of being blessed is that we don't need to borrow, but we can lend to others. And that's the abundance. But again, God repeated against the condition, verse 14. If you will be careful to observe the commandments of the Lord, if you observe God's commandments, if you follow God humbly, wholeheartedly, God will make you head and not tail. And that's the condition of being blessed. And then we'll have a look at the curses. Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if you do not obey the voice of the Lord your God, to observe carefully all his commandments and all his statutes, which I command you today, that all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. You see, the wordings are the same, just that one uses the positive way to talk about it, and the other one talks about it in the negative way, in the opposite way. And that's the same as what we say to our children. Study and you have good results. If you don't study, you have bad results. So no matter how you share or talk about it, you just need to obey the Lord. If not, the consequence will be very different. It says, cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the country. And cursed means you will decrease until you will vanish. And it says, cursed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Your savings will decrease. These are signs of curses, and cursed shall be the fruit of your body and the produce of your land, the increase of your cattle, and the offspring of your flocks.